hopefully the topic which I'm going to cover will literally open your eyes in this area. And as our moderator today, Mr. Patel, told me that you should also focus that since income approach is required more in land and building and real properties areas, this will be the areas very important. I'll give you one more avenues. Before coming here, I had an interaction with MD of a bank. Probably you may not be knowing that Government of India has created a bank for financing infrastructure and development. This is the first, you can call it as a startup bank in country. 25,000 crore is given by the Government of India. 1 lakh crore business is going to be there this year. 4 or 5 lakh crore in the next 3 years. All infrastructure product of the country is going to be sanctioned, reviewed by this bank in future. So forget about other bank doing anything. You can imagine the push of infrastructure of this kind of a bank and your opportunity there. So be ready for that. In fact, Saket ji will be very happy. My MD, because he was there when I was in the bank board, so he was a MD. He told me that, Rajiv Singh, I'm looking for 30 years of projection, so you have to forget about the traditional projection, the way we do in today's scenario, right? He said that I need actuaries' help because my projects are so long, so therefore their input should go in the projection. How we are projecting today for 25 years, 30 years thermal power projects, considering today's information. Now, how do you know that whether the coal would be there after 20 years or not? Whether they will be allowed to do a business or not, but you are projecting it because you have no idea. All those factors will come up and in discussion. So my first line you read carefully, I say, no thought to how we know what we think we know. Read twice, thrice, you will come to know what I'm trying to say. We just are copying everything. I'll give you an example. A lot of people saving time, and I have a great respect to the gentleman, academician known as Aswan Damodaran. He is from Kerala. How many of you know that? He is from Kerala, right? He is one of the world best known academician on valuation. I'll counter his today in two aspects, not for giving a contrarian view, but on factual views, right? So the first thing, those who copies his betas calculation, do you know from where he gets it? Do you know how many years of data he uses? Nothing given there. So how he use that? You see, you ask Saket ji is sitting, a general insurance business is less risky, life insurance business is more risky. You go in his own website, his beta data will be 2 for general insurance and 1 something for life insurance, both are incorrect. And if you use it blindly, you are finished. You use equity risk premium data from Aswad Damodaran. Do you know how he calculates? He calculates on S&P numbers, okay? Those numbers are there in dollar price. The equity risk premium calculated on a forward basis in a dollar basis, use it in the Indian component without converting into the rupee, with a rupee set of all information in cost of capital. He used risk-free rate of Reserve Bank of India. Do you know that is exactly meets the definition of risk-free rate? Answer is no. The risk-free rate, the Government of India's rating is VAA. It's not a definition of a risk-free. The only risk-free instrument, theoretically, is American securities, which has got a rating of AAA. That is a risk-free. Otherwise, you are counting extra premium, right? So, without applying mind, if you just use a concept and in a mechanical fashion, you will go and make error. And that's what my objective is, to highlight that these factors are very important. You'll be surprised, in May 2023, I have a data, but because of the time I'm not showing, American security, which is considered as the risk-free assets of the world, their 60 basis point CDS swap premium was running. Do you not understand the CDS? CDS is like a credit default swap premium, is like insurance. So why somebody was ready to pay 60 basis point means 0.60% interest in terms of that to secure the payment for government of US securities? Because there was a risk. US is only out of 2 countries in the entire world, US is a country which has a debt ceiling in absolute number. Like in India, we have a number in percentage, but they have an absolute number. So the moment the debt ceiling goes up, I'll come back and tell you that the entire world gets affected because of that risk-free Every asset, real estate, shares, equity, all assets has a basic element of evaluation is the risk-free rate. And that is how on Friday, whenever the Fed Reserve says something, entire world watches very carefully and it have an impact on the valuation. So that's the first point I would say. The other is about macro issue. I'm very sorry, we have a session on startup, you will see it. We have now emerging as a third number in a startup space in the world. I caution people, you only focus on macro number. India is a 140 crore people country, this is the scale, this is the macro position, I am the first leader. You don't focus on the micro part of that. Most of the reason would be overvaluation as a result of that. If you go for the micro issues, you will know that you will not be able to capitalize for various reasons. I'll give you the examples for that. Third, most important was most of the pricing decision today, I will tell you, I think a lot of people are crying how Baiju is gone for so much of a toss, right? How Paytm has failed. I will discuss today in contrast with Damodaran valuation released just before IPO. Can you believe that? And I will prove you the data and the fact that how incorrect it was. In fact, it was a motivational process because it was motivating people because all newspaper of the country has published it. It's not that today I'm telling you. I'll give you the data and information. You will decide on your own, was it right or not? And that's how we have to evaluate, right? Similarly, please remember the one word I've said, autopilot mode. Autopilot mode is like you see airplane, when it moves, the pilots just leave it, it goes on. They are not using their mind. Most of the pricing decisions are like that. And what are that decision influences? I'll give you a research paper on that. Similarly, there are issues which at some point in time, something called becomes NDT. That is a non-debatable truth. At one point in time in India, you must have heard, people are talking on GMV. Now, what is the GMV? Gross merchandise value, right? So, all online companies was priced 20 times, 30 times of GMV. Oh my God, is that the income of an online company? If today Amazon in India, or for that matter at that point in time the Flipkart was selling this mic for say 5,000 rupees, is that there the income is? Kind of valuation would be linked with this GMV. In fact, the income of those platforms are only the income they earn on the GMV. And the valuation should be linked, that is their revenue. Then there is an expense, then there is a profit. Look at that where we are sitting. This is the reason why the whole ecosystem of the country, we are only talking about unicorns. But unicorns are destroying in a sense that more and more if they fail, they destroy the entire ecosystem and genuine people will die in the process. I can give you an example. The biggest churn in this country which is happening right now is focus of doctors in developing tools, equipments which has never been in the past. This is going to change the India's position because 2047, the government target is going for 30-40 trillion economy. So you can imagine these guys are going to play a big role and you have to understand then short-term is preferred. Now, biggest corporate governance issue if you can see, not only the listed company, unlisted and a startup is about every quarter, giving a performance to investor, and for that they do all murky thing. They do all financial shenanigans possible, and that is the reason they don't look for what is the value creation for future. They look for short term. I invest 100, I must get 120. That's your job is. Then method what you use for financing, I give you a terminology called ESE. That is a early stage entities. They are different from a startup. Please appreciate, a startup is a legal condition. Not early stage company will become automatically a startup. For that you have to go for a registration with Government of India, then you get a lot of benefit. If you are not, then you are an early stage company, but you are not on a startup. So be careful about that. Now, because with the government help, the valuation will change definitely. Increasing growth is easy, but doing profitability is not. I'll show you. Intangibles of a startup are the key. If you don't understand intangible, forget about doing valuation of a startup. You have no idea. And I'll tell you about, do you understand, sir, differences between innovation, right, and invention? So the knowledge, then you have a innovation or invention. Which one will come first? Invention. That's the new concept you discovered. Now innovation is a utilization of that new concept in the market, right? Then you have a patent if you want to, or you have a trade secret if you want to or wish to, right? And then you have a protection of a patent. If all these things are not there, the business get destroyed. I'll give you the example. In today's world, you will not survive. India is going to work and is working and trying to make sure that the people from this world focuses on that, because I'll show you the difference between tangible and intangible, which will give you a better idea. What we go wrong in valuation of early stage company, can you see what I've said? Is the jockey or the horse, or you value both? Yes. Which one is valued more in early stage companies? In market. I'm not talking for the professional valuer for the time, because you understand what the market dynamics is. They value the jockey. They forget about the horse, because you have no idea what the horse is. There's only the jockeys which are values, right? And if the jockey fails, you fail. In the process, you try to justify, you understand wrongly the price as a value, and therefore you create a trouble, which we started to discuss, right? So, just interpret. And my session is today with a lot of pictures. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. Can you see this picture? This is S&P movement pictures, right? If I show you the red one, which is what publicly available all the time, you'll be able to see that. Is it going upward or downward? And this is the month, March 2023. By the time debt ceiling was going to come off, US was expected to be crossed in May 2023. So therefore, technically, if the US government was expected to, I repeat the word expected to default on debt securities, the market should have crashed. It looks like the market is enjoying that movement, isn't it? Market enjoys movement because the same thing happens again and again. Market says, oh, it's all give and taken, it will come by. Because the same thing happened in 2011, right? But I have just bifurcated this segment in, you can see the yellow color line where it is going. You kick out, the first one is weighted average index, which is what our BSE Sensex is. Do you know the meaning of Sensex? Who coined the word Sensex? It's the copyrighted word. Not everybody can use the word Sensex. Sensex is a sexy word. It is a copyrighted word, only BSE has that, they can use it. It was created by a Delhi-based analyst. Do you know that? And that is the meaning of this sensitivity index, okay? So, but the Sensex has got only 30 shares. BSE has got some number of indices. All those indices have a weight. So if you have to look for, say, Nifty 50, which has got 50 shares, BSE Sensex, which has got 30 shares, 4 shares will be dominating 60% of the weight. So if those shares are doing well, you look like, oh my God, all newspaper will say that we are doing well, but probably all others will be lagging behind. So this is the yellow color. Without weight, it is S&P index is falling like this. So what is the difference? Why it is happening when the market was so, distress mood, and suddenly you find that the Sensex of S&P is moving up and this is going down? It was all because of something called AI. You heard about that? All AI company was defying the market logic. Their valuations are all going through the roof. And I'll show you behavioral finance. This is what we call it as a herd mentality. Without looking into the details and matter, you go and price them. So these red going up is because of the AI share. Of late, if you have seen in India, all companies are changing their name or changing their business model. Well, they say that I'm also in something in AI. After 4 or 5 years, suppose there will be a bust in AI, everybody will get out that. I'll give you an example of what has happened in 2001 in this area, right? So next, I'll show you this data. How do you interpret this? This is called credit deposit, because please remember, India is a debt or bank-driven economy for the time being. We are trying hard to make it as a capital market-driven economy like US. For that to happen, it has to have a very robust bond market. And this bank which I mentioned you, Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, is the bank which is developing. So municipal bond and all bonds listing will come up. For your surprise, take my word, in next 3-4 months you will listen, because the committee is already set. Infrastructure definition in this country is going to be revised. What you understand as infrastructure is a very, very small subset of the infrastructure. To give you an example, metering companies nowadays, smart metering, you must have heard, 5 lakh crore business this business is. but this is not forming part of the infrastructure. Can you believe that? So this is now going to be forming part of the infrastructure. These are the massive change. If I see this data in my board, or if you refer this information as a analyst, you'll be very happy that India is a debt-driven economy, bank-driven economy, bank does well, economy does well. So therefore, credit deposit, credit outpacing deposit and growing 75, this is a very good mark, doing very well. I'll show you 2 more slides, take your call. Now see this. This is called more granular analysis of the growth. Can you see that? What is the industry growth here? There is my concern is just 7%, 7.5%. Where the maximum growth happening in personal loans segment. And why it is happening? Because of all banks focus on something called RAM. Now what is the RAM? Retail, agriculture, MSME, right? And they are focusing on, within that they are focusing only on retail. So scooter loan, car loan, housing loan, all growing. So from where it will be paid if the industry will not grow? Now the other one, services, you will be surprised which these services consist of. This is all NBFC is growing. Now NBFCs are pricing loan at the rate of 18 to 22%. Now if a people of where the loan is available at 8 to 10%, and if they are paying 20%, there must be some serious trouble. Am I right? Their civil score must be bad, something wrong, intention not to pay because these are unsecured loan. Why this growth is happening? RBI has now noticed. RBI has now noticed. I have noticed 6 months back. Look at the data. And this is not a good data. It's not supporting a sustainable growth. And I'll tell you why. Because another data, something called yield curve, will help us to comprehend this. Just go for the next. And this will tell you the full story. From balance sheet asset side, from the balance sheet liability side, the bank is getting killed. Can you see that? How the deposit rates going down and credit going up? So I won't name the bank. There are banks who are now ready to pay commission for getting deposits and giving loan to NBFC who will default, you will default. So it is not priced. The risk is not correctly priced. Those guys will default, you will default. You are getting 9%, those guys are getting 20%. So their balance sheet, I've never heard in service industry, can you believe that? NBFC net interest margin is 600 basis point, 700 basis point. In not a single bank can make a money, even 200, 300 basis point is considered one of the best. This is what is happening, is not good. I'll tell you, and then you look at the liquidity position of the bank. At the stage of when the India was passing through the COVID, 6 lakhs crore rupees was there in the system as a liquid asset. Now all dried because somewhere it has gone. So there could be a repercussion. I'm not guessing. The another data which is troubling me is that first time in my understanding for last 26 years in the market, 10 years debt yield and the short-term debt yield both have collapsed. Generally you will find the long-term debt yield should be higher and short-term debt yield should be lower. But it has collapsed. The only thing which has now left out is should not go in the negative territory. That's called inverted yield curve. The way we are facing for US, it is an indicator of a recession and can be a problem. Of course, India will not go in recession for various other reasons I'll discuss later on. But then it has a macroeconomic issues which we'll discuss in application part. Just show quickly US situation first and then come back here. Okay. Because of the time, I'm just saving something for,
okay, we'll discuss during this question and answer, sir.
Yeah, I'll just quickly show them and then we can take in the question answer. Yeah. Because this data will be very handy for them. Two or three of them I want to show them quickly. This I'm just missing. This is a impact of recession declaration by US in 2008. Can you see that when the recession was declared, In 2009 somewhere, the share prices started moving up. That's very interesting because they declare by a lag of 12 to 18 months. Do you know that? National Bureau of Economic Research in US declares recession after the recession is almost over. So the market picks up. They don't, even today they have not declared the recession, even though there are indications which I saw. Can you see that? This is the example of inverted curve. Data for 1955 to 2012. 12 times it has gone inverted every time there was a recession. If you ask me today, is the US in recession? Answer is yes. Have they declared it yet? Answer is no. When they will declare, it will be over, they will declare it. And by the time they declare, the market will pick it up. That's a very simple concept for application part of that. So now go back. This is the reaction which I showed you. The one point I would like to clarify, and there is what we have a session for standards also, going concern, the way written in financial statement and the way it is assessed for accounting purpose is totally different versus the going concern we should assess for valuation purpose. And there are various reasons. We'll take up this matter in the second part of the, my session. Can you see here, this is by a legendary venture capitalist investor, Peter Thiel. He said that which are the factors, of course this is a research material, which are the factors which affects valuation for startup companies. Can you see that? He's he's giving value to jockey or the horse. And which is the number of a valuation? 5th number. And you believe that. Look at the problem now. Now you have a US or Western based a method called backsolve method. What will be the implication of backsolve method? What he says that what is the last transacted price should become an input to get a future valuation also. Now what if the last one itself was a wrong one and has done like this? You want to see the example? Just see the example. Too quick. This is a pattern derived by my team. A very famous company, now acquired by Walmart. I have done valuation for Walmart now also and before also and Flipkart also. Just see the lines. August 12, October 13, March 14, June, July 14, December 14. Money was coming, investment was flowing and valuation was just ramping up. There was nothing on profit and performance just because the money was coming. Can you now see when the money got stopped? The valuation started falling. Half valuation happened in just in 2 years time. Now this is something what you say that the backsolve method will give a valuation for a future without looking for these realities. These are going to be a disaster for this kind of economies where there is a bigger scale. Because these are valued for the scale. Nothing else. There is nothing into the company. I can tell you it was not profitable then and it was not profitable now. I doubt there will be a profitability which will be reported in future also. Okay, so just quickly go for, and this is another evidence for you. This is a example which I am referring because have you heard about this company called Redwood Material? This is a circular economy company. Circular economy means...
Please.
I know. There's this example I just give. Circular economy means where you just get the inputs and recirculate in the economy. Recycling material, especially for electric vehicle, which is the important item is lithium, cobalt, nickel. Am I right? This company is founded by, this Tesla connection. Can you see that? The business plan was not even drawn. The valuation was for more than $3 billion. I have evaluated because I have a company, I'll now announce it proudly though, is an Indian company based in Noida, has a factory in Uttarakhand, Roorkee, developed by a Delhi IIT engineer, 32 patents. This is the only company in the world in recycling of lithium, cobalt and nickel, 99.5% efficiency, commercial level successful company at commercial level. No, none of these companies are commercial level. Life cycle of US, Redwood Material, all are still to prove on commercial scale. And one in Canada and one in Europe. But this company is still struggling and not getting money paid for. Reason? Because we do not have the ecosystem. But the system and technology is one of the best in the world. In terms of capex, in terms of operating profit, but this company has faced a serious problem. Innovation, invention, right, patent, everything was there. But somehow they could not protect their patent. And there is a charge that American life cycle company has. Basically, their team came here in Roorkee. They have stolen they don't have money to fight and go in US and protect their patent. In India, do you know in the last 2 years, when this company came on surface, Prime Minister covered in Man Ki Baat, you can understand how important this company must be. If the Prime Minister of a country is covering in Man Ki Baat, we have now 250 more companies in this segment having similar technology, all coming, machinery coming from China. Somebody stole the blueprint, send it to the China, and machines are coming from the China. This company is destroyed. Operating margin of 45% is now 18%. This is a much murkier kind of a valuation scenario in this country. So I'll just show you one. This is US position in terms of your intangibles. You can see it here. US, how it has moved out the impact of intangibles in